Welcome to the Green to Tee series, and this is a series that starts from the green and goes to the tee, and the equipment that you need starting from the green and working your way back to the tee. And what we're going to do is I'll describe each one of the specific pieces of equipment that you need and then do some reviews on some of those pieces of equipment of the items that we carry in the McGolf shop. So stay tuned and let's learn a little something. All right, welcome back to the McGolf shop. And what we have, we're going to start with from green to tee is the putter, right? It's the flat stick, the Billy Baroo. It's the one club that is meant to be used twice on every hole. So why don't we give it a little bit more, interesting comment? Or why don't we just give it more attention? Well, what's more sexier? A 300-yard bomb or sinking a 5-footer? The other way, it could go the other way around. When you lace one of those ground pounder 200-yard shots, or you drop a 40-footer for birdie. So it goes either way. Just depends on your attitude towards it. But your accountant likes it the second way. Remember, you're driving for show, but you're putting for dough. So, back in the 1600s, the putter wasn't called the putter. That's kind of cheesy, but it was called the putting cleek. And the putting cleek was made out of an entire piece of wood. It was formed, carved, shaped, whatever you want to call it, out of a single piece of wood. And it was used, the wood that was used was anything that was made in the area. Typically, because of the Scotland, Ireland, that stuff, it was ash, lionheart, some of those kinds of wood, just a tad softer. And it was okay because they were using the feathery golf ball at the time. What really changed things, say around middle 1800s, was they added a metal head. And what changed there? It was the golf ball. They used the gutty, or the gutta percha. And it was a golf ball that was kind of like this dead version of super glue, and they rolled it around into a ball, and they made a golf ball. It's extraordinarily cheap in comparison to the feathery, but what it was doing, it was denting the wood, so they had to have metal. Now, what was the most popular that era of putter? It was the Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane was used by none other than Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones used Calamity Jane to get win his Grand Slam. It's said that the Calamity Jane was made in Scotland. And it was called a gooseneck model, and I got one here I can kind of show you. Not Calamity Jane, but a gooseneck model. And it was made in Scotland. It was 33.5 inches long, and it had 8 degrees of loft. That is humongous. All right. Today's putters typically have between 3 and 4. And that had everything to do with the manicuring of the green. Back in Scotland, they still had sheep and cows and all kinds of stuff walking over it. And it wasn't until they actually started paying attention and getting the new technologies and all the things that we enjoy today, these guys were really putting over some pretty strange stuff. So here's what we got. Here's what you had. That's the gooseneck type putter right there. This is a Biltmore putter, a forged club, and of course it has the wooden shaft, and it has the grip to it. You see, and I tell you what, that's something to putt with. All right. Nowadays, they got something that looks like it ought to be used as a scanner off of Star Trek, or even a hood ornament on the Enterprise. And what they have, space-age materials for inserts. They have refined metals to make the bodies out of. They have MOI calculations and things just to make everything so it resists twisting, so you can find the hole a lot easier. Well, even if with all that space-age stuff, if you're not fit to it properly, that's going to be a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the fitting parameters and some of the things to go from something like that to go to something like this. All right? And then we're going to do a couple of reviews on putters while we're along the way. Now you're into the new metals, the space age stuff, high MOIs, milling, all kinds of stuff. And what we will go through is what you need to know. and how to make a better putter decision other than going into the local big box store and just beating your brains out until you find one that you mistakenly can hit well. We'll get you into the right spot. So we're going to talk about some of these putters, and I'm going to show you what we're talking about with the parameters. Okay, the first thing we want to talk about is length of the putter. Length of the putter is crucial. That's what we use here at McGolf all the time, length of every one of the clubs. And what it does is it puts you into the proper stance in order for you to make consistent putts all the time. And what we like to do is when you're over the putt, we like to take the stick and we just put it at your eyeball and we look to see if it's going to drop right down right to the ball. Now, does it have to be right on top of the ball? No. It can be inside the ball just ever so slightly. Over the top, not so good. Inside, that's fine. So what you want to do is have a buddy or get into a mirror and you check and make sure that your eye is over top of that ball. Because I'm telling you, when you can fake yourself out when the lie angle comes up, you can be looking at it and be putting this way and think you're looking right at the ball. I've had guys in here off as much as 10 inches inside the ball, and they thought they were putting just fine. And once we got them all squared up, it's just amazing the difference that you can get. So when you go to do this first, you want to check and make sure that your eye is over the ball, and that will help you determine your length. And I'm telling you, you're going to start putting way better once you get that figured out. Next one is the lie angle. All right, the lie angle, when you finally get to the right length, the lie angle is how this thing soles. All right, you don't want it sitting up here like this. You don't want it sitting here like this. You want it sitting on the ground. That way you can make constant contact with the putter or with the golf ball when you have this. So once you're looking over the ball, then you get the right lie angle. Lie angle can be synonymous with how you aim. All right, if it's up too much, you could be aiming to the right. If it's down, tilted too much that way, you could be, or I'm sorry, the other way. You go this way, it could be left. That way, it could be right. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, but you got to get over top of that. Okay, third, once you get the right length, and then you go into the right lie, then you want the right loft. How we determine the loft is I put it in my gauge. You see how that's moving back and forth? I measure it on the shaft, and I put it in there. Now, loft is important because even though you're going to see a bunch of commercials saying, oh, it rolls immediately, well, it doesn't happen. You're going to be hitting stuff with a loft of some variety, whether it be 3 or 4 degrees. You're going to probably catch it on the upswing. The whole idea is to get it up on top of the turf, rolling forward as much as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can, and then and hopefully right towards the target, right? But you get it up, and if you have this downward strike on it, then you drive it in there and it makes it scoot or hop. Well, studies have been shown that if you hit it even perfect, about 10% to 13% of your distance is going to be skid or whatever. So if you have a 10-foot putt, 1 foot about of it's going to be that skid and roll, and then it's going to take off. And then what they want to do is maximize the ability to get it going this way first. That's what the putter's all about. So you got to take into account whether or not you're pressing the club or you're flipping the club or you got it straight, is how much loft to put on or take off in order for you to make that correct strike. Now, the faster your greens or the more manicured your greens, probably the less loft you could use. If your greens are a little more fuzzy, then put a little bit more loft on it. It won't hurt you. And you go from there. So you got your length, you got your lie, you got your loft. Now the next is how you would aim this guy. And that has to do with offsets. Okay? The offset is right here. That's the plumber's neck. Okay? If you look at it like that, you can see where it goes here. Now, this is the most common. Again, there's that Anser coming into play. It's a gorgeous club, by the way. It's just, that's the standard. Now you have some that will come in straight. You have some that have bends. But all offsets are defined by this. And they talk to about how many shafts or a shaft you're off. You could be a full shaft, a half shaft, a quarter shaft offset. Then you mimic that with sight lines. All right, you get the sight lines. Now, between those two, they allow you to show you how you can aim the ball. So once you're over top of it, now you can finally see the line, and you're sewing it properly, and it's nice and flat, that you're going to hit it in a perpendicular, nice square fashion, and then you're rolling it up onto the grass. And then the final part is, do you have any aid alignments, alignment aids in order to get there, whether it be a really long sight line, a couple of sight lines that you might see marked on the top here, and then down here to make sure that you're squared up, like on the Seymour putter, where you know you can't see parts of it, and that tells you you're right in alignment. Different strokes for different folks, and that's part of the fitting. You ought to go to a certified fitter, and they ought to fit you to these putters and give you, you know, some of the best styles. Now I'm showing you a lot of blades, but mallets work for other folks. Okay. That brings me into one of the final two. What that is the different strokes for different folks. What do I mean by that? Well, you have some people that screen door putt, some go back and forth, some turn this way, some turn that way, and different putters fit different styles. You might think you're a screen door putter, and you very well may be straight back and straight forward, and the same could be said the other way. You could be thinking that you're trying to go straight back and straight forward, and you very well may be doing that. Have somebody take a look at you, get an honest evaluation. That way you can get the proper style in your hands, the proper style. You have no idea how much better something, you know, they talk about face balance, they got toe hang, and now they have what's called zero, where it's just like this. I called it target line balancing. You find all those and see which one that fits you the best, because it's all about getting the ball into that 4-inch hole as best as you possibly can in the fewest strokes possible. That's what you need. Now, last one is the grip. There are a ton of grips being used out there on the tour, and there's a ton of different grip styles that match it. All right, currently right now, Super Stroke is probably the most popular, but there are other ones coming up along the way. I did a putter grip review on the SNSR. It's a pretty good grip. It might take some of that market share away. Get what fits good in your hands and gives you confidence. It doesn't have to be the most popular one. It can be a traditional style and just be big. It can be traditional style and be small. It can be really, really soft. It just depends on what you get in your hands. As long as it's aligned properly and it gives you confidence, it's exactly what you need. Okay? So that's basically what you need to know, a little bit on the putter. Remember, get all the parameters checked, get the style put in underneath of you that works the best so you can align it properly, and then you're going to find the bottom of that cup a little bit faster than most, and then your scores will go low. All right, if you enjoyed this, you know, this review, and you enjoyed learning about putters, please like the video. If you want to learn more about the reviews that I'm going to do, because I've got a few more putters to review, subscribe. That way you'll find out when we start putting them out.